All right, number 7 says suppose the interval -1 to 1 is partitioned into 4 intervals. What is the subinterval length of change in x? And then we're going to list the grid points x1, x0, x1, x2, up to x4. Okay, so the change in x comes from the upper value minus the smaller value. So we have 1, and we're going to subtract a -1. We're going to divide that by 4. This will give us 1 minus a -1 is plus. So that'll give us 2 over 4, which is a half, or 0.5. Okay, so if we were starting from -1 going to 1, we would make 4 indentions. 1, 2, 3, and then our fourth one would be land there. So this would be our initial point. We would start at 0 and we would go a half. So if I add a half to a -1, I would end up at a -0.5. And then if I add another half, I would end at 0. Add another half, I would end at a half. And then add another half, I end at 1. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 pieces. This will be our x1, x2, x3, and x4. So the change in x is a half. All right, grid points. We'll listen all 5 of them. Let me see. All right, which points will be used for the left Riemann sum? Okay, so we were making rectangles from the left endpoint. We would use this one, this one, this one, this one. So these 4 on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. We will use -1, -half, 0, and +1/2. So that did not work out correctly. 1, 0, comma, and then 1/2. All right, which points would be used from the right? So we would make triangles coming from the right. I'm sorry, rectangles coming from the right. So we would do -1/2, 0, 1/2, and 1. And then which points would be used for the midpoint? So the midpoints would be halfway between each of these. So make a rectangle that goes up here, and then we would go out to each endpoint. So we would add these together and divide by 2. So let's just say 2 over 2. Now I know this is negative, but I'm going to say 2 over 2 plus 1 over 2. And that's going to give me 3 over 2. And then we're going to divide by 2. So think about this, 2 over 1. If you keep change flip, that's 3 over 2 times 1/2, which gives gives me 3/4. That'd be a negative 3/4. So from here, once we already knew our original change in x, each interval is a half, I can just add that change to get the rest of them. So I'll have a negative 3/4, and I'll still add a half. That will land me at negative 1/4. If you add a half, that will give you a positive 1/4. And you add a half, which is, you can think of it as 2/4. That's what we're adding each time to get this, and then we'll get 3/4 positive. So you can use that original change in x because that's the width of each interval, and we're just going to the middle of each one. So the midpoint would be negative 3/4. Negative 1/4. Positive 1/4. And then positive 3/4.